We're right here in the centre of London with Mick Foley, hardcore legend, New York Times best-selling author, and now stand-up comedian.
Still not comfortable with that. I do comedy on a stage, but I'm not sure I'm a stand-up comedian. But that's. What do you think? Have I earned that title?
A couple of years.
A couple of years? Yeah, not yet.
You're on your way.
I do comedy on stage, but I'm not a stand-up comedian.
How did you get into the comedy scene though? How did that...
Yeah, I insist that Hogan's music be played during this interview. It comes crashing down and you're hurt inside. Bang, dang, 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 dang. I got into it by way of doing promos that I thought were funny, that sometimes were just done to amuse me or Chris Jericho in the back. I was really flattered that he described an incident in his book where I said, "Hey, watch what I do," and I went out there and gave the worst promo of all time just to get Jack Lanza mad and to pop Jericho, and he really respected that I'd be willing to do that in front of 18,000 fans. And some of the stuff I did in the ring I thought was pretty funny, and I was able to talk to colleges and realized that I enjoy telling stories that make people think, but I also enjoy telling stories that make people laugh. And hopefully tonight you'll see a combination of those types of stories.
Definitely. And
right here in central London.
And were there any comedians that you enjoyed watching when you were growing up? Who were...
I'm original. I don't. No, I did. A lot of comedians. George Carlin, Class Clown was the first comedy album I ever heard, and I thought it was the funniest thing ever. And then Steve Martin. This is back in the days when people used to. Sorry about that. Listen to albums and just sit in the room and listen to them with their friends. And then I would watch comedy specials that were on home box office at the time. So Stephen Wright, for example, was one of the guys I really liked. I wouldn't say that I was a fan of Andy Kaufman's humor, but I've grown to really admire his ability to take chances. Maybe not at the detriment of the entire audience, because I still think you have to make everybody, as many people, as happy as possible. But I like that idea of taking chances. And then there's so many guys out there who are great. I actually try not to watch too much, because then I find myself not trying to emulate them, but you end up borrowing things and mannerisms, and that's not necessarily.
And you mentioned before, and you and Chris Jericho used to do some stuff backstage, and took some of that to the ring. Are there any other wrestlers that are into their comedy or would like to have a go at doing what you've done?
Know what? We were talking about that in the car. You know, I've worked some shows with Colt Cabana, and he's very good. I haven't seen Raven do it. I've heard Roddy Piper's done a lot of work. Steve Carino is working on doing open mic nights, but there are a bunch of guys who could do it if they gave it a try. I think Jericho could do anything if he tried. I think the Road Dogg, for example, would be really good, and we would like to see if we couldn't get William Regal, who is a huge fan. He's a fan of English comedy the way that he is a fan of English wrestling. Like, he really appreciates the history of it, and he has great stories. I never see him when he doesn't have a story for me. But he says that going up there on stage is like the toughest thing in the world. Like, he couldn't imagine going up there and doing it.
And some of Regal's backstage segments on WWE television are great as well.
He's one of the most underappreciated funny men, and a great technical wrestler. He's a guy that people don't appreciate technically or comically. I don't believe they do.
And going on to the wrestling side of things, you made your comeback not so long ago, and there's a bit of comedic value between yourself and a certain Santino's
Marella. Working on some material too. I told Santino I would love to have him do some comedy, but that worked out. I mean, it could not have worked any better, because I don't know if you could tell, but I wasn't quite in real fighting shape. And yet everyone was happy with what I did, largely because we had the big face-off with the Cobra and the Sock. And so when I left that match and I watched it back, I was happy that I'd had some pretty good interactions with like 5 or 6 of the guys. So that was it was a pretty good idea, I thought, to come back and do that Rumble and do it in an atmosphere where there wasn't a lot of pressure on me to live up to, unrealistic expectations.
Definitely, and you mentioned unrealistic expectations there. Do you think we could see you at WrestleMania? I mean, is that a possibility?
Well, in what respect?
In the ring, or maybe
part of
doing
like
a
an
tag.
18-man tag?
Tagging with Santino, that would be great.
You know what? I'm like Dennis Stamp. I'm waiting for that phone to ring, brother. Who knows? There's a lot of opportunities, I think, for me to possibly get involved. I might specifically ask if I could do commentary for the Hell in a Cell match, having been soundly defeated by both those guys in a cell. I think there's somewhere for me to get involved, and if not, I'll just enjoy the atmosphere. I'm part of Access. I'll have my family with me, and on the one other occasion, which was in Detroit, where I did not have any job to do during the show, I enjoyed it anyway. I mean, I did a pre-tape with Snoop Dogg a few years ago. That was fun. It's it's really an opportunity for the other guys, but if there's a way I could add to it and get paid, yeah. Why not?
And what how have you been a massive part of WrestleMania over the years? What have been some of your WrestleMania highlights?
Well, really, I've only had one that I consider the real highlight was the match with Edge. That was based on the idea that I had not had a real WrestleMania moment, which is true up until then. The dumpster match with Terry Funk was a good match, but maybe we didn't put enough time in for it to be considered like a classic. And I see that Big Show they're kind of taking the same tack, and it's fine because it works. It's true. If someone doesn't have a great record, Big Show's record is so bad at WrestleMania that he lost to me. Okay, that's how bad he's done at WrestleMania, by disqualification, but he still lost to me. And being called the anti-Undertaker, so, that's one of those things that you got to cut close to home. So. In my case, that really inspired me to, have a really good WrestleMania moment, and I hope it does the same thing for a Big Show.
Definitely, and you mentioned that maybe doing commentary on the Hell in a Cell match, and you've been a part of so many great matches involving the Hell in a Cell and other matches, and such iconic moments like coming onto landing on the Spanish announce table and falling through the cage. What have been some of the injuries you've suffered over the years?
I was injury-free, except for this training injury. I had a lot of injuries. A couple teeth are gone, an ear mostly missing. I had my heart broken on numerous occasions. That's a weak. You're smiling at that joke. A lot, some broken bones here and there, stitcheroonies, as I call them, big ones. 350 big ones.
All in the day's work then?
Yeah, well, it was, yeah. I mean, I worked pretty hard, and not everything worked out right, and luckily, if it didn't work out right, we captured it on video.
Definitely.
Most of the time.
And you mentioned you're doing a raffle for WrestleMania.
Yeah. Do you know about it yet?
I've read some bits.
The word getting out. I've had a chance to talk about it on Sky Sports and Sky News, and I hope it helps, because up till now it's just been exclusively a Twitter thing. What we're doing is I tried to put together the best possible grand prize that I could, and I pulled a lot of strings, and I think for people to fully appreciate it, they really have to go to the website, which is realmickfoley.com/mania, and look at the grand prize, because it's like staggering. It is available, especially to people in the UK who don't have the visa issues that other countries might. But it's round-trip airfare up to $3,000 in airfare, which covers just about everybody, I think, in the UK. 2 tickets to WrestleMania, good seats, really good seats. 2 tickets to the Hall of Fame, 2 tickets to Access, lunch with Eve Torres, the Bellas, and one diva to be named later. Breakfast with me, $500 spending cash, and this is the real winner, is you get to have a cup of coffee with David Otunga. I'm going to see if I can't pull some strings and see if he can't sign a couple of thermoses.
I think that's the real winner there.
That's when you're going to see things pick up. The coffee with Otunga. I texted him during SmackDown, and I was like, "Hey, can I? You want to be part of my raffle?" And he was like, "Sure. What do I do?" I said, cup of coffee with David. Just makes perfect sense. Yeah.
And with the comedy and back in the WWE, what else can we expect to see from you in 2012?
Don't expect too much from me, okay? You'll be sorely. Honestly, I don't know. I'm going to be wearing a lot of hats with WWE, you know, behind the scenes, not necessarily in creative, but even if it's PR or working with younger talent, there's a lot of ways to contribute in WWE. So I don't know yet what my job will be, but I'll be pretty busy doing that. I'm going to put a lot of the comedy like on the back burner. I'm just going to be doing maybe a weekend a month in the US, keeping razor sharp for my return to the UK next year. We might even go back on our word and do another show or two in 2011, even though I said I wouldn't. Then again, like I said, I retired from wrestling forever in 2000, and you know how that worked out. So I really don't know what to expect. The unexpected. When you least expect it, expect it.